Bang your head. Your radio host for Pang Radio, Mike Lucas.
Broadcasting live from the IRN Studios North here in cold and rainy Superior, Wisconsin. Welcome to Pang Radio. Tonight is Sunday, August 27th, 2017. First off, we would like to send our thoughts and prayers out to all our friends in the Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alabama area who are going to be under some rain for the next 4 or 5 days, and there's a lot of flooding. Our positive thoughts and positive vibes are out for you, and everybody's thinking about you down there, so hang in there and take care of everybody down there. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Ken Storch. Ken, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine, and well said, MJ. Those Texans are a pretty rugged lot. They'll handle it. Big state, big hurricane, so what the hey.
Yeah. You got any shout-outs, Ken?
I do. I want to have a shout-out to, right off the bat, to Dick and Marilyn Carlson. They organize and lead the Oklahoma UFO paranormal team, and they were heavily involved in going down to Mena, Arkansas, and interacting with our guest. And I want to have a shout out to them for the hard work and the equipment and everything that Marilyn and Dick Carlson deployed. Yep. And one to George and Patty in Missouri, and then Rosie over in England. How you doing, Rosie?
Perfect, Ken.
That's my shout outs, buddy.
That's great. And was it Marilyn's birthday yesterday?
Yes, it was. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Good looking.
Yeah. Happy 39th,
Thank
Marilyn.
you for reminding me.
Yeah, happy 39th, Marilyn. Okay, and I'd like to do some shout-outs to all our listeners out there that supported us through the years. We're entering year 6, I think, or 7 on the air, and appreciate the support on Facebook, Twitter, all these social networks. Whenever you see a show out there, be sure you share it on your wall, share it with your friends. It's about sharing the unknown that the mainstream won't let you talk about, and that's why we do this network, and share strange and weird things and things of high strangeness. And of course, you can listen to us on irnchat.com in the chat room. You can download our app on the Android and Apple stores. You can listen to us on Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio. We're now on iHeartRadio. You can go to iHeartRadio, listen to the old podcasts, and listen to our live feed. So we're strictly everywhere in the world. And thanks, I always like to say, Ken, is a big thanks to our listeners, our newest support and listeners on the other side of the planet. I'm seeing a lot of friends checking in from Malaysia, Pakistan, India, the Middle East. It's great to see that we have a following over in that area, and they're definitely supporting Inception Radio Network. And speaking of high strangeness, tonight we got a good one for you. We've got a special show. Ken is involved with this investigation, so I'm going to hand it over to Ken, introduce our guests, and we're going to get to the meat of this. It's a very, very interesting case. I'm looking at it on my iPad right now, and sit back and enjoy, friends, and get ready for some weird and strange stuff. Take it away, Ken.
Hey, thanks, MJ. And this was an investigation that was conducted by myself, Bill and Julie May, part of the team. Obviously, Dick and Marilyn. Marilyn is pretty much the supervisor, I guess, what you would say. She organizes and try to gets everybody motivated and to show up, and does a damn good job. Thanks, Marilyn. And this investigation, we didn't get to deploy all of the equipment that we wanted to, and part of it was from the fact this is Mena, Arkansas, and it was, I think, heat index, MJ, was 110 during the day. So there was some pretty harsh elements that had to deal with. You had to stay hydrated. We were out in the direct sun and shade in the forest, setting up equipment and monitoring it. So it was an arduous investigation, but a beautiful area. If you Google Mena, Arkansas, you can see that it's a lot of Ozark Mountains, a lot of rivers and streams. It's a beautiful area. And for some reasons that we're going to discuss tonight, that area experiences some strange activity, everything from triangular craft, unidentified aircraft, to lights in the sky, to lights and orbs that appear to pop up in the woods. And I will talk about the experience that we had down there on the Broad Camp Crystal Mine, located just a little bit east of Mena, Arkansas. And it was on the property of Orville and Cheryl Murphy. And I want to say right up front, they were very hospitable, very friendly, very knowledgeable, and really, not only did they allow us to conduct our experiments, but they showed us, Orville showed us some interesting facts about crystals, and we'll get into that. I gotta admit to our audience, MJ, I still am, but I was really ignorant of crystals. Okay, and did not realize the unique properties that crystals can exhibit, and some of the things that Dick Carlson told me about. He was a submariner, and how the Navy, are you ready for this, MJ? Mm-hmm. Grows their own crystals that they use in their equipment. And Orville will be able to address a lot more of this, that crystals vibrate at a certain frequency. And, I learned a lot. Not only was it an interesting investigation, but my grandmother said you should never go to bed without learning something new. And I learned quite a bit on this investigation, and we're going to get into it. It was interesting. I would highly urge our listeners, if they get a chance, to stop in and experience the board camp, because there is some kind of energy there. Okay, and we'll talk about that as we get into it. But let me get to the meat and potatoes and introduce our guest tonight, Orville and Cheryl Murphy. Orville and Cheryl, are you there?
Yeah, we are, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Good to talk with you again. Hey, why don't we just jump right in it with both feet? I kind of like to do that. And Orville, give our listening audience your background, what you did for a number of years. And I think you'll find this interesting, especially with what's going on in Houston with Hurricane Harvey.
Well, I spent most of my life as a hazard mitigation technical specialist with FEMA. So everything I did was science and background, and if you'd asked me anything in January of this year about paranormal or UFOs or whatever, I would have just giggled and walked off and never thought about it, But right now, a leprechaun could ride past on a unicorn carrying a monkey, and I wouldn't give it a second thought. That's how much my life has changed in a few months.
Wow.
Hey, Cheryl, what is your background? What have you done for the beautiful years that you've been on this planet?
Well, my main job was I worked helping people find employment with the state of California. I loved my job and loved giving people hope when they were jobless. And I did that most of my life, and in other areas of social work as well. And moving to Arkansas was a big change for us when we moved from California. And we moved to Arkansas in 2006. And we never dreamed that we would be doing this today, I must say. And we never know where life leads. But this has been an interesting journey for us, for sure.
Hey, why don't you, this phenomena, whatever it is, and it seems to be, by the way, I've done some research, Orville, and there's a lot of activity that goes on through that whole county.
Oh, yeah. We've gotten lots and lots of calls from neighbors, friends, people coming up and just saying, hey, guess what I saw? Or, I saw this 5 years ago, 2 years ago, or when I was a kid, So,
yeah, that area
just happened.
That area has some historical flavor to it from strange things happening down in that entire county. And I'm going to tell you, I think and we'll get into this, but I think we uncovered, we being the team, of some of that energy source. I may be wrong, and any of our listeners are in chat or out there across the globe will know more about what we get into, and I feel free to chime in. But Orville, you guys bought this property in what, 2008? Is that correct?
Yes.
And wasn't it just recently that you and your wife just started experiencing, when I say experiencing, strange things started happening on the property, and it had to do with you doing some grade work or something, wasn't it?
Well, when we first bought the property, I was putting, roads in, and that's when we noticed the crystals, extremely large crystals. So the Arkansas Geological Society came out, and Cheryl knows more about that. She met with him, so I'll let her tell it.
Yeah, actually, the state geologist, we invited him to come out to take a look because we knew nothing about crystals. And he was the one that suggested we might want to open a public dig site because we were intending to open a campground on the property. That's kind of why we bought it and got started. And we thought, wow, that sounds great. We can offer the public to come in and do rock hounding. And we never intended to mine on a heavy commercial level by using heavy equipment or blasting. We just wanted to keep the land all natural. And that was our intent. And so we ended up getting our federal and state mining licenses and opened Board Camp Crystal Mine in 2012. And for the last 5 years, we've opened up so the public could come in and dig for their own crystals and have a lovely natural experience, in the woods and enjoy themselves. And we really enjoyed doing that.
And so, well, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh no. I think we were waiting for each other to speak there. And I guess what happened, we like Orville said, we've never really focused on the paranormal or anything like that. Love watching it on TV, but never thought about it being a personal thing in our lives. And I'd say like last winter, Orville started noticing these sparks of light at night in the woods. And he always studies on the internet, and we also have friends that know more about crystals than we do. And most of the people concluded that since crystals, they do have certain electromagnetic properties, that they emitted these sparks of light. And we just kind of accepted that it was crystal energy somehow releasing itself. And Orville also began seeing the little orbs or spots of light in the woods as well. Now, I really didn't see any of that during the last winter, but he would come in and tell me about it. And so that's kind of how it started coming to our attention. And then in February of this year, my son came to visit us for the first time, and Orville wanted to show him these sparks of light in the woods. And so they went out there to take a look, and my son was very excited because he started seeing the lights too. And he wanted me to come out and look as well. So, of course, I'm going to humor my son, and I went out with him, Josh is his name, and my husband, Orville, and we were just kind of staring off into the darkness, looking toward the crystal mine, to watch these little sparks of light. And then all of a sudden, we just saw this glow appear kind of at the treetops, and suddenly the three of us experienced what I have to call a light event of major proportion. And it lasted about 10 seconds. We were awestruck. We could not even speak during that time, trying to figure out what it was. And then the lights faded, and we're like, what was that? Who's out there? I mean, naturally you think someone's out there. But like I said, it was a major proportion. And at this point, I'm not going to go into detail about it because, as it turned out, MUFON SAT team actually was deployed to investigate. We did have a friend actually that reported that to MUFON on our behalf when we told her. And so what happened was MUFON ended up turning the information over to the Travel Channel, and they came out and filmed. And so the Travel Channel actually is going to be airing October 4th, and they'll have a 4-part series covering the 4 Wednesdays of October, and they're going to get into those kind of details about how we first got into this experience and so forth. But meanwhile, we explained or we experienced other phenomena since then, and so either Orville or I could begin sharing with you about that as well.
Couple of questions, Cheryl. This is MJ, Mike. MJ, with the lights, did they have a specific color, or I mean, did they come out of the ground?
I'll let Orville answer that.
Yeah.
The strange thing about the lights is, we're talking 3 beams of light that are brighter than those big Hollywood spotlights.
Oh, wow.
They were about 500 feet from us. They went up about 300 feet, and they were flat on the top.
Huh.
And my little scientific mind cannot comprehend what's flat on the top on a light. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, I'm a vet from back in the early 70s. We had our jungle training and everything else, night vision training. But when the lights were gone, my night vision wasn't destroyed. I didn't have to get my night vision back. So regardless how bright it was, it really wasn't casting shadows, and it wasn't affecting my night vision.
Wow.
Those are the 2 little things that really, to me, stood out more than anything else.
Yeah, that is that's unexplainable, definitely.
Hey, when we went there on that investigation, and I can testify to the fact there are crystals there. Okay, we were able to deploy a set of hydrophones that I brought with me. You can listen for water underground. The water district here uses it to listen for leaks that are like 6, 7, 8 feet underground. You can hear the water rushing through the pipe. So they're hydrophone, and we deployed those over this pit, this crystal pit, and this is interesting, MJ. You could hear water rushing below.
Well, Ken, can we give you an update on the water?
Yeah, by all means, go ahead.
It has now penetrated the surface. It's bubbling up on the west side. The ground is muddy, where the water is now starting to come up out of the ground.
That's probably
on the west side of that crystal pit.
Hey, I think, and this is kind of interesting because we had, and George, I know you're listening, and I'll be talking to you about it. But with all the rain that has occurred, even here, we're above normal for the past 30 days. And then you look what's going on in Texas, the aquifers underground have to rise too, because that water is going down into the grounds and through the fractures and everything, and along rivers and stuff that flow underground. So that makes sense, Orville. I think that except for the fact that crystal pit is sitting on the top of the hill and not at the bottom of the hill.
Oh,
yeah. Well, having access to a geologist, and I'm talking about you, George, he turned me on to piezo energy, and thank you for doing that. I've been doing a lot of reading on it. And crystals generate this piezo energy. They vibrate at a certain frequencies. And Orville's right, you're talking about some pretty big crystals in this area. They're big.
Yeah, we have found crystals where the tips were broke on them, but still the size of the crystals were about the size of a coffee can and some were the size of Coke cans. That's pretty good sized crystal.
And you have a vein of this that runs, I think, or permeates the entire county. And I'm not saying that's going to explain about what we're going to talk about and what we saw, and what Helen, my wife, and I and Orville saw. And we'll get into that as we go down this path. But I want to continue about these 3 lights that you saw, Orville, and you said they were flat on top. And I think I asked you about this when you were telling us what happened. Do you think there was a craft that those lights were emanating from a craft, and that's why you couldn't see the craft for whatever reason?
Well, I'll guarantee you lights are not normally flat on the top. Something has to block the light. Many people have asked us, were the lights going up or were the lights coming down? I can't tell you. The lights were just there. And when they came on, they were on. But as far as being flat on the top, something would have to block the light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or perhaps the light actually came down, which, our normal human reaction when we first saw the beams of light is that who's out there with a spotlight shooting the lights up?
Right.
But it was really MUFON that suggested maybe the lights were coming down because they were coming out of a craft. And of course, we were very ignorant of those types of things. We never really experienced anything like that and hadn't really been in circles to talk about it.
When we did the recreation, there's 2 lights on the left and then 1 light on the right. And that's when, they were saying, well, chances are it was a triangular ship. It was just turned at a certain angle. So that would probably make sense too.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I mean, I could certainly see that. It's one of those circumstances where you don't have a definitive explanation, and the fact that I lean towards the fact that based upon being there and everything, that the lights came from the top down. I didn't see it, so I can't. But based upon your description that they were flat on top indicates to me that there was some kind of structure there that they were emanating from, and that you just didn't see it because maybe you were focused in on the lights and it was there and you didn't see it, or that maybe it was camouflaged or something in stealth mode. Who knows?
Yeah, and the thing is, until that time, we were all skeptics. But I'm about the furthest thing from a skeptic anymore. I don't care what happens. I'll go, you betcha, no problem, because we just almost every single day. When we were on top of the hill, we were measuring the gauge readings. You could the posts that were up there, were becoming magnetic. Well, we put 60 posts up and put fence around the area to keep the public from just, going in at night and taking stuff. All 60 of those posts are reading at least a 7 to a 9 gauge reading right now. So they are becoming magnetic.
Hey, well, what's interesting, and I don't know if this plays anything on it, and Dick, I know you're listening, and have Marilyn throw it up in chat to answer this question, but based upon that, would that affect the cords that we had laying on the ground and why we had such static on the screen? Because the cameras that work really well, MJ, that we deployed were the ones that were cordless.
Okay.
And we put out 100-foot cords with a power source, and we got a lot of static on the screen. They didn't. It was not anywhere near as good as the cordless one. So I don't know. So Dick, if you're listening, answer that for me in chat, will you, buddy?
Yeah, because our game cams, I could run 3 months on a set of batteries. I'm lucky to run 3 days. I'm using rechargeables, and I'm rotating batteries every 2 days.
Oh, wow. Something's draining them.
And right now, 1 out of 5 people who go up there with their cell phone or their camera or whatever come walking back with a dead battery.
Yeah. Well, we had what was it? 8 cameras. We had 60 hours of surveillance on the cameras, on each one of them, I think. Yeah, and we didn't capture anything other than a mouse. And it was kind of an interesting mouse because we thought it was a rock, and it moved. And we had to watch it for another. What's that? What's that, Cheryl?
Oh no, she just laughed.
Oh yeah,
I was laughing.
Yeah. Because it really got our attention, and you got 6 adults sitting looking at the screen trying to figure out what the hell this thing was, and then finally it moved again, and then you saw the entire profile, but it was a mouse. That was funny, but. We, Orville and Helen, my wife and myself, walked up to the pit at night to check on a light that had been recorded on one of the cameras to see if it might possibly been back in a cabin or a house light or a yard light or whatever. And so, having checked on that, we started, and it wasn't planned, but it sort of just evolved. There's a path that goes around the property that Orville has constructed, so it's pretty easy to walk. It's not difficult at all. The path is graded. I would say it's probably 1.5 miles. Orville, all the way around, what are we talking about?
It's probably 3/4 of a mile in a one circle.
Okay. And so it was around 10:30 at night. And just to update you, I got a response from Dick, and he says, lots of static. The cables that ran across the pit had more interference. We had batteries fail. 260 hours of IR footage to review, just to give you an idea. 260 hours of infrared footage that Dick sat through. So we did have batteries fail, and we had interference, and we had cables running right across the pit, and there was more static from them than the other ones, but they all experienced it. So thanks, Dick, for that update. So we had walked it was about 10:30 at night, and we walked, and there was heavy woods on both sides of this path, and then off to the west, which would have been on my left, there's a small field, if you will, meadow, and then a dense wood behind it, probably 10:45, and Orville saw it first, called our attention to it, and then we saw it, and it was a unusual light in the woods. It looked oblong to me. It started out yellow, and then it would fade to a kind of a reddish orange glow to it. I had a flashlight, and when I turned it on and shined it on, it seemed to dim. And then when I turned it off, MJ, it came back brighter than when we first saw it. And I was able to turn my flashlight on it, and there was a large hickory tree, and it was 247 steps from where I was to the hickory tree, because the next morning I got up early. I was supposed to cook breakfast for everybody. Excuse me. And I got up and went up there in daylight and pasted off where the hickory tree was, because I illuminated that tree with my flashlight. So, and I know the object was between that hickory tree and myself and us on this path. The other thing is that when I illuminated it with my flashlight, I noticed a shadow on the front side of the hickory tree. I mean, it illuminated the hickory tree, but yet there was something blocking the beam. So whatever that light was that was appearing had some kind of substance to it, because it cast a shadow on the tree. I saw it, at least the outline of it, and just the edge and the top. And that's the reason why I said it appeared to be oblong, because it looked like the edge was longer than the top that was outlined on the leaves of that hickory tree. But it was somewhere between, I would say, 247 steps to 200 steps. So to give you an idea how far away this light was. No noise. And it was a very still night. You could hear coyotes howling in the distance, and they were really active and screaming and hollering, and all of a sudden they got real quiet. And it was about 5 minutes later is when we spotted the light. Maybe 10 minutes later we spotted the light. Whether that had anything to do with it, I don't know. But it was just an interesting note that I made in regards to what occurred. So I don't know what that light was. I don't know. It was up in the woods. It was about, it appeared to me, anywhere between 6 and 10 feet off the ground.
Oh, wow.
So whatever, I don't know. It wasn't down in the woods. It was actually in front of the woods, like I said, in front of this hickory tree in this open meadow. So whatever it was, it reacted to having a light show. And I did it like 3 times. We watched it for a good 10 minutes. And it was there, you know, we had a couple of dogs in the camper that we had to go check on because we didn't plan this.
Goodbye, summer.
Hello, new fall fashions.
This is a great time to shop Macy's Backstage.
I know, prices are so low you never need a coupon.
They have all the hottest looks for the new season.
For men, women, kids.
Plus shoes, accessories, handbags.
Pet gear, toys, home decor. All our favorite brands, great designers.
We always find something. Best of all, new fall finds arrive every week.
We'll miss you, summer.
The fall looks awesome.
Macy's Backstage savings for everyday life. Visit Macy'sBackstage.com for a location near you.
This was kind of an impromptu, okay, we went up to the pit and then we started walking, following the path, talking and listening, and we ended up there. So we had some animals that we had to go check on, and so we left, and it was still shining in the woods, or in front of the woods. And then Orville, and I think, did Cheryl go back with you, Orville?
I don't remember.
No, not that evening, but you know, Ken, it was really great that you witnessed that, because we really have had quite a number of witnesses now to these types of phenomena, so that, you know, we invite anybody that wants to come, you know, to witness this, and it happens quite often. And this is the ongoing, recurring phenomena since the initial light event back in February. It's just astounding. And people like yourself who have come and witnessed this, as well as there's another subject we need to talk about too, another phenomena of the levitating rocks. And if anyone goes to our website, boardcampcrystalmine.com, we have gone ahead and posted footage of what our game cameras have taken, and our video cameras that we have. We posted footage of some of these orbs and these levitating rocks, which are just mind-blowing. And I'll tell you what, when we first saw the first pictures of these on our game camera, we couldn't even believe it. We were absolutely incredulous that rocks were actually levitating in this area of the crystal mine. We have no real scientific explanation for that, although there's some very interesting theories, but they do tend to hinge on fringe science. And it's fascinating. It's unexplained. It's absolutely fascinating what's happening out there and continues to happen.
Well, my personal the ore, and that some of it, okay, I think is being produced by Mother Earth. Okay, that there's something going on with the water flowing through that sandstone, limestone formation and the crystals. Whether it's amplified the piezo energy, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to make a call on that. George, you probably know more about it than I do. Well, I know you do. You're the one that turned me on to piezo in the crystals. So, but I don't know. But there's an awful lot of energy in that area, and I think some of these lights are produced by Mother Earth.
Oh yeah.
I don't think she produced the 3 lights that they saw that were flat on top. I don't think she's produced some of these orbs, maybe, but some of them what I've heard, and apparently the alien hunter Josh got it on film of a orb flying right up towards the camera when they were shooting, MJ, and they should air that in October. At least that's what we were told.
I'll have to set that DVR up, definitely. Cool.
Well, part of it is on his commercial on his Facebook page, too. So him up on the top of the hill with the orb is in, Josh's commercial.
Okay.
So,
okay. And
interesting. I haven't seen that. I'm looking forward to seeing the show.
And if you're in chat, I put a link up to their website, and I'm also putting up a link to their YouTube channel, which I am watching right now. There we go.
Oh, good, cool.
Yeah, there we go.
It was kind of funny, though. He said, you know what, it's strange. We never find the gold. We never find the treasure. But I've been out here for about 4 hours, and I've seen all kinds of stuff. So
well, and the witness.
I'm sorry, Cheryl. I think I spoke over you. What was that?
Oh, and I spoke over you too. Even Josh Gates is a witness at this point.
Oh yeah, I have told you, and I've told Dick and Marilyn. I plan to come back there after the leaves off the trees, and get back there in the winter after the holiday, sometime in mid-January or February. I want to be there when there's no leaves and see if I can experience again one of those lights. It fascinated me. I know that.
That's for sure, and. Another thing, since we went public with this information, which actually was in mid-July, we kept a lot of this to ourselves because we knew the Travel Channel was coming, and they, requested confidentiality until they came and filmed and left, of course. But we've had some very interesting, good-hearted people that are sharing information with us as to what it could be. And we deeply appreciate that because we're all about learning about this. And, if you look at the UFO point of view, it was suggested to us more than once that UFOs actually fuel their craft on crystal energy. And,
I got this. Let me dovetail here real quick because I'm watching an old Star Trek. They had a Star Trek marathon on one of the satellite channels, and I was watching it. And the Starship Enterprise was in trouble because Scotty was informing Captain Kirk. Are you ready for it? Wait for it. Here it is. That the dilithium crystals in the warp engines were cracked and they were failing.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, dilithium crystals, and my ears picked up. Okay, I went, holy cow, man! Gene Roddenberry was on this a long time ago.
He knew about
it. Missed it. Okay, but
Gene Roddenberry could have been one of them. We don't know.
Yeah,
him and Tesla. We don't know.
He certainly had. He really had some insights into aliens and space and everything. So you gotta give him a shout out on that for sure. But hey, real quick, strange part about the energy and the crystals and everything else. If there are crystal pockets and deposits all around this area, and there are some strange lights over there near those deposits, but areas where they're blasting and using heavy equipment is not experiencing any activity, which to me seems like if you take dynamite, you blast a big, or C4, you blast a big hole in the ground, to get rid, trying to keep the crystals up, you're disturbing the energy. You're disturbing the natural flow. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think the crystals are resonating the natural energy that whoever is using it is looking for. And when we disturb that, when we just tear it up, you can't rape the earth for profit. There's no good in it. Well, that's it. There may be something to that where they're blasting and grading and stuff. The frequency that these crystals are emanating would definitely change. That's a fact. You know, I don't know. I certainly believe that the crystals are playing a part in it. What part and how big of a part, I don't know. I also believe that water flowing under that crystal pit is also playing a part, amplifying it or whatever. And so that energy grid, for lack of a better description, seems to be really powerful at that crystal mine pit, whatever that whole vein that runs through there. Okay, and if it reaches down to that aquifer, see, that's what I'm trying to find out is can that affect the piezo energy in the crystal? If that water's generating electromagnetic charge, how does that interact with what's going on in the crystal? That's my question.
A very good question. And we want to thank you for coming out because you're the one that tested and discovered the water under there.
Well, you know, actually, George turned me on to it when he was explaining to me that it takes water to make crystals. So at one time, that area had to be underwatered for those crystals to grow. So that's what got me to thinking about grabbing these hydrophones, because I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I wonder if there's an aquifer. And boy, you could hear that water churning. You could hear it was flowing pretty good through there.
Yes, it sure was.
So, hey, real quick, in chat, Marilyn wants to know, do your neighbors, do they have lights? Do they see it on their property, or do you know?
Some of them have, and some of them have not. We've had several neighbors who came up and said that they've seen lights, they've seen sparks, they've seen orbs, and one lady even said that she, 20 years ago, saw a craft.
Oh, wow. And I'll have to tell you guys, I'm going through the YouTube videos. Listeners, these lights are not just some little dull-looking white orb. These lights have a brilliant color. They have form. I mean, it's amazing. I'm watching the colors on here, everything from green, red, white. I mean, they're brilliant, and it looks as bright as a flare. I mean, that's amazing that you guys are seeing lights like this in the woods. I mean, that's just not something happening by fault at all. There's definitely something going on there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, what we saw that night, I mean, it was actually it was not a dull. They were bright. Yeah. And when I hit them with the light, they got brighter.
Wow.
I mean, and I don't know what that means.
And most of the lights that we see, I mean, it's not just Cheryl and I experiencing it. There's 4 or 5 or sometimes 10 people there at the same time.
And hey, I want to tell our listeners, if you get a chance and you're passing through that area, make sure you stop in. They have a real nice stage, MJ, where you can sit, and it faces the woods and the crystal pit, and you can sit there with tripod cameras, binoculars, telescopes, or whatever, and you've got a beautiful panoramic view of the area. Yeah, it's nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
Wow. Amazing.
And yes, and you know, we really do appreciate our visitors. In fact, because we had to close down our mine, the crystal digging part, at least temporarily, until we get some more information about the unknown phenomena. Like I said, we closed the mine, but we have reopened by giving tours. Obviously, we're a business, and we need to generate revenue and income. And so we decided to open up the mine again, but this time to give tours. So we call it the Unexplained Tours. And if you do visit our website on boardcampcrystalmine.com, you will see a place where you can purchase tickets to come out. And we have a morning tour. It's just a couple of hours, but we share our videos and photos with you and explain our story. And then we actually walk our visitors up to that event site where we saw the original event where Josh Gates filmed. And then we have an evening tour every Saturday night. That's 4 hours. And we did the same thing. We share our story and walk people up to the event site before dark. But after dark, like Ken said, we do sit on the stage and just watch. You know, I mean, these things happen at random. We can't guarantee that anyone's going to see anything while they're there, but they sure do happen frequently.
Nice.
And so far, we actually just opened our tours at the beginning of August, and we have had visitors already who have seen things on Saturday night. So
I just, you know, you both of you are very accommodating, and I would urge people, if you're going to make a trip and you're passing through, by all means, take advantage of it. It's an interesting area. And you know, some people, I didn't feel the energy, but then again, I'm not empathic. I don't have that ability. Maybe I do, and I just don't recognize it. But I didn't feel, you know, any special tingling. And I went down in the pit, but because I was doing that hydrophone, but I was fascinated by listening to the water flowing through that ground. That gave me a chill. I mean, because I could hear it, I could feel it. So, yeah, it's
right.
It's an interesting place.
And I'm more like you, Ken. I have not really felt the energy, so to speak, but I know people, including my Orville here. He's got an ability, I guess, or a sensitivity to feeling that sort of energy, and many of our visitors have. And I just love, hearing their testimonies of what they've experienced here, but also in their lives. You know, a lot of people have been coming here now since we went public with this information. They're opening up. Our neighbors, for example, are opening it up and sharing their experiences. And I love it. I just love people sharing their information. And perhaps if we, keep sharing that information and going public, maybe we can figure some of this out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that, MJ, that Marilyn is sensitive.
Yeah.
And she told me she felt the energy when she was up by the pit. Yeah. Yeah.
And that energy... Oh, go ahead.
No, it makes me wonder about those cables that ran across the pit that were laying on the ground, MJ. Because the wireless set, we got pretty good reception, and you would think it would be just the opposite, but those cables were in contact with the crystals in the ground.
Yeah.
Marilyn said it made her feel a bit dizzy. The energy.
Wow.
Oh, I thought that was because she was female.
Oh boy, you're gonna get it now.
I just told you that I didn't feel it.
I'm sorry. I just couldn't pass it up.
Oh boy.
You couldn't help yourself. I know.
I apologize.
Well, we had 2 weeks ago. There was a woman up there, and her hair stood up on her head.
Wow.
I mean, it looked like she went underneath one of those electrostatic machines. You know what I'm saying? And like she had wool socks on the carpet.
Oh,
and
yeah.
her hair stood up, and everybody looked at her, and she's going, what? And they took a picture of her, and then her hair went back down. And they're all running around her going, did you feel it? Did you feel it?
And I think what they're feeling, it is that electromagnetic field that has been created. And perhaps it all started with that initial light event that we saw, the beams, back in February, and it's still ongoing. And like Orville said earlier, we have the fence posts that were up there, the metal T-posts, became magnetized. We had a metal fence up there, like a gate, that had become magnetized. MUFON, when they did their initial investigation, National MUFON, back in February, they brought that to our attention. And this electromagnetic field is still there because, like Orville said, we just inserted some new fence posts into the ground, when we were getting ready to have our public tours. And those fence posts are now magnetized, and we have some that are actually polarized. And, of course, Orville, he'll pick up one of those fence posts and put a compass to each end to prove it. It's just absolutely weird, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's no doubt about it that I think it's possible to answer some of the questions. Okay, I don't know about the alien craft but you never know. If you get one to show up and you're able to run some data on it, like electromagnetic energy, you're able to record that. Put a parabolic mic on it and to see if it's emitting any kind of noise that at a frequency we can't hear or whatever. I would. And that's one of the pieces of equipment, MJ, that we didn't deploy. We had a parabolic mic and the millimeters. We didn't deploy them. And I want to go back and do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and that could be some part of an explanation of why these rocks are levitating. And you can see that on that YouTube video. It's absolutely astounding. And, of course, we were in absolute shock when we first saw those pictures from our game camera. We would never have guessed that kind of energy is there to levitate basically boulders.
Wow.
Hey, speaking of which, Orville showed me, I guess Chase Klutsky was there when they were doing their investigation with MUFON, and a boulder pounced down the hill. And Orville showed me, and this is probably about the size of a 10-pound bowling ball, the rock is.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And you could see in the indentations in the ground where it hit at least 4 times. So that boulder had to come from a pretty high arc and from a pretty good distance. But it hit the ground 4 times.
Yes, and there is a theory from some folks that they're just falling out of portals. I mean, one gentleman, he really identified the board camp crystal mine vortex. I mean, it's just mind-blowing to think about, but it really, I mean, those rocks are coming from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like falling out of the sky and dropping down. And yes, Chase Klutsky did experience that with us when we were walking out there one night.
Wow.
But one thing Chase said this, and I just think it's the best ever, is that nobody should own knowledge. So anything we find out here, we record it, we write it down, and, we don't own what's going on here. We've just been entrusted with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I agree with you, Orville. I 100% believe that, all of these pieces to the puzzle, in order to make them work and fit, you have to have the knowledge and to share it. And, people that don't they've only got a piece of the puzzle. And in order to get a better picture of what's going on and understanding, we need to share that knowledge. I agree 110%.
Right.
And I got to hand that to Dick and Marilyn real quick, because they post the information, they tell it like it is, the facts.
Good,
yeah, absolutely. And and we have people that help us that don't belong to the group, but they certainly make their comments, and some of it, that's how we solved one piece of puzzle in Pennsylvania with spider web, and that was an awesome investigation too. But I agree 100%, Orville. That knowledge should be shared, and thank you for sharing.
Well, and not only that, there's skeptics everywhere. I don't care what you're doing. There's a skeptic somewhere to try to put it down. I used to be a very big one, but my motto now is just because you don't understand the language doesn't mean that there's not a message.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Hey, I noticed that, Marilyn, thanks for reminding me. Just so listeners know, we did deploy a Geiger counter, and we really didn't get anything beyond normal background readings. But then again, there may not have been any energy that was being emitted. I don't know. And I know that water, it fascinates me that it's underground. Some way, somehow, I got a gut feeling it's either amplifying or it's there and it's creating its own electromagnetic grid. George, if you're listening, can you answer that one for me?
No, guys, too, with visitors coming in, we all know that other places similar to yours with strange activity are purchased by the government or big name people. Have you had any government entities come in or strange people asking questions or possibly wanting to buy the property off you guys?
We've had some people come in who wanted to sit down and talk, but we're just straight up, honest, legitimate people. And, you know, some people to us were just, I don't want to say scary, but, you know, there were people that I preferred not to talk to and just didn't do it.
Good sense of, you got a good sense of telling what's going on. People have a ulterior motive, and it's almost like you can sense it, Orville, that they're there for their self-interest versus, you know, you guys are there to share this wonderful place with everybody.
Well, I know the difference between a vampire and a fluffy bunny, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, this electromagnetic energy is there, okay, if the posts are being magnetized, but that doesn't come from piezo energy with the crystals, does it? I mean, I don't, there's a difference type of energy that
right. Yeah, I mean, if you rub two crystals together, they're, let's say, a little bit milky, and you'll see light. It looks like sparks, but it's not sparks, it's light. And you could rub them together and you see the light, and then put your fingers on where you just rubbed it. It's not warm, there's no friction. So that's a good test, and we show people that test. If you compress a crystal, you put it under pressure, it will release, you know, millivolts. There, you know, that you can't power a house on it. But how we do it is we hook up the meter, just a regular, you know, voltage meter, and I'll just heat it with the torch just a little bit and then spray it with water, and that causes it to contract, and it puts out all kinds of voltage.
Wow. I can only imagine, too. Guys, I can only...
Well, you know, and you know, another thing, too, is people say, well, I got a picture of an orb, but I couldn't see it with my eye. So a really good experiment, too, that we show people is you take the remote control off the TV, and when you look down at the sensor in the front, the infrared, you're pushing the buttons, you don't see the light. But turn on your cell phone, put it on camera, and do it in front of your camera. 90% of the cameras, you can see the light on the remote control, because the cell phone is picking up a different spectrum than we can see with the light.
Oh.
You know, the cameras. Than we can see with our eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Try sometime. It's really interesting.
Well, and what was that you showed us with the protractor, that the angle of the crystal, no matter where you placed it on the protractor, it was always, what, 126 degrees?
That's 120 degrees, and that is the end face. That's the side. And so as you go around, it doesn't matter the shape of the crystal or the size of the crystal or anything else. They are always exactly 120. So, and you just, any crystal you pick up their crystals are basically, they're all identical. You know, the quartz crystals. It's just that little bit of a change in the matrix that will cause the crystal to either grow different or act different.
Okay, guys, let's take one break here. I kind of skipped the first break. This is too interesting to take a break for. You're listening to Paying Radio on the Inception Radio Network. Tonight we have on Orville and Cheryl. What's your guys' last names again?
Murphy,
talking about the Camp Crystal Mine and strange activity. So we have a half hour left. Hang in here. We'll be right back after a commercial break. Welcome back to Paying Radio. Tonight we have a fascinating show with Orville and Cheryl talking about the board Camp Crystal. Well, I guess it's a camp. Is it a camp, guys?
Yeah.
I would
classify.
I don't want to say camp. I don't want to say Camp Crystal. That sounds like a scary movie to people, but.
Well, actually, the community where we live is called Board Camp. Okay. And it was kind of a halfway point, I guess, when in the old days when they were traveling by horse and wagon bringing lumber to the mill. And so they camped overnight here, and I guess that's my understanding is that's where it got its name. So our community is Board Camp, Board, and then our mine is Board Camp Crystal Mine.
Cool, very cool. And I'd like to do a shout out to Byron listening in Independence, Missouri. I just chatted with him on Facebook, and he was wondering where this place was. So Byron, go down and visit him. Take a look, see some strange lights. I mean, we'd love to come down, but that would be a good day trip for us. We wouldn't be there till night, so we could see the lights. Cool. Very cool. But
right.
Yeah.
And of course, definitely contact us first, and we have our phone number and our email address on our website, of course. So we're not open at random to the public. We're just hosting our tours right now, and we're getting ready to open our online store for crystals that come out of our mine.
Oh.
So if anyone is interested in purchasing any of the crystals,
yeah, they got some really neat crystals. Yep, they sure do.
Well, and the properties of crystals are fascinating. They have their own electromagnetic field like we do. And some people believe in healing crystals. And, I remember when my grandma used to wear a copper bracelet when I was a kid, and she claimed that it helped her arthritis. And I think it's the same type of thing with crystals. It's the way our bodies respond to the natural goodness of the earth, whether it's plants or metals or minerals.
Goodbye, summer.
Hello, new fall fashion.
This is a great time to shop Macy's Backstage.
I know, prices are so low you never need a coupon.
They have all the hottest looks for the new season.
For men, women, kids.
Plus shoes, accessories, handbags.
Pet gear, toys, home decor. All our favorite brands, great designers.
We always find something. Best of all, new fall finds arrive every week.
We'll miss you, summer.
The fall looks awesome.
Macy's Backstage savings for everyday life. Visit Macy'sBackstage.com for a location near you.
I think all of the goodness of the earth has been put here for mankind's benefit, definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of healing powers with the earth and our our ecosystems that we don't really need all this weird medical stuff that they're trying to throw at us in pharmaceuticals. I think we can be healed by the earth. I mean, I totally agree with that.
Well, I was just going to say, look at Mother Earth herself. She heals herself. Look what happens after a major forest fire. Look what happens after a volcanic eruption. I mean, it's been going on for millions, if not billions of years, and this planet has the ability to heal itself. It's alive. I believe that. The mere fact that we're here. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but this area down by Mina is, you guys got something going on there. I definitely would keep recording and keep my eyes and ears peeled. And like I said, folks, they have a great viewing stage. It's very comfortable to sit on and look out over and watch the sky. It's pretty nice. Absolutely.
Yes, if you go to our website and click on tickets, you can find out how you can come out and watch with us, and it will tell you what to bring. Bring a camp chair and a little cooler with your drinks, and we always make coffee and have cookies. And the great part about it, since we opened our business up for the tours, is we just love the people, and everybody has a testimony. We even had a guy here. Our first Saturday night was not our first Saturday night watch was August 5th, and he came with his wife. And at the end of the watch, he said, I'm really a skeptic, but I have to say that there is definitely something strange going on here. I mean, he offered that much, as a skeptic. And I just said, I really appreciate what you said, And like Orville said earlier, we were skeptics. You know, I think we're all skeptics until we actually have some kind of an experience, you know, that kind of opens our eyes or gets us thinking outside the box, you know.
Ken, did we lose
I
you?
think,
Okay.
no, I think that, you know, I tell people this, you know, that they refer to things that we're talking about as the paranormal. And the Latin word para means above, so above normal. And I maintain I don't particularly like that word simply because I think what is happening, at least the earth lights, and as far as ET goes, okay, I think that's perfectly normal. We just don't understand it. So we have to call it something that we don't know about, and that, you know, we would attribute it to paranormal. And that's where your skeptics get to roll their eyes and, yeah, okay, this. No, I think it's probably perfectly normal. We just don't understand it. We don't, as Orville said, we don't have the knowledge. But we'll get there. I think as we go down this road, more and more pieces of the puzzle become more and more apparent, and they fit. And eventually, we will know. We won't have all the answers, because I don't think no thing has all the answers in the universe. Okay, it's still evolving, and we are evolving too.
And if anybody,
one of the greatest tools we have right now that we're working with is a friend of ours. His name is Jason Head. He was born and raised down the road, and he tells us stories when he was a kid on they see Jones lights at night, and then you got farmers who were chasing cows the next morning, bringing them back from 2 or 3 miles away, where they broke through, 7 or 8 fences. And he goes, and that happens once or twice a year. And the lights and the crafts and the things people used to see, and they still see them. It's just we're in an area that it's just not acceptable to bring it up. It's just not something that's talked about. But it's been going on for a very, very, very long time.
Well, yeah, I think that if you can go and research some of the sightings that have occurred in that area, and I mean even MUFON and their records of some of the historical cases that have taken place all through that area, in southwestern Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and even eastern Texas. I mean, that whole area is inundated with caves and limestone and underground aquifers. And, somehow...
We're right in the middle. We're right smack in the center of the Ouachita Mountains. And it's the only mountain range in the northern hemisphere that runs east and west.
Yeah, that's kind of strange, isn't it?
Louisiana's trying to push us up into Missouri. We love those people, but we don't want to go right now. So we kind of got our heels put in, and that's what's causing the tectonic plates, to kind of press up, and that's what's building the Ouachita Mountains.
Well, and like you said earlier, Orville, if you take the pressure and push it against the crystals, they spark and they got light into them. Can you imagine a tectonic plate and the pressure that they would be putting on, say, a ridge of crystals that are embedded in the ground with water running underneath of them? That'd be a pretty powerful charge, I would think. I don't know, but I would think that it would be enough that energy has to be dissipated some way, somehow. What do you think,
George? Right, and it has to be energy. I've heard people go, well, when you hit them together, it's going to create light. But you're not going to get the light to travel through dirt. It's not going to travel through sandstone. It's not going to travel through the shell. You know what I'm saying? It has to be a different energy that's coming through the ground.
Well, I think it's some kind of plasma. That's just a theory, but I think some of it, what we're looking at and dealing with, is a plasma of sorts, and we just don't understand it yet. But I do believe that. I think that might explain, and it certainly doesn't explain all of it. It's just one piece of the puzzle, like I said earlier. But I think it might explain some of the orbs okay, that these plasma balls take off, okay, whether electromagnetic or whatever kind of energy, but they have to, they generate enough energy that they take off and they go flying through the sky. But I believe that's one explanation. It doesn't explain all of them. I know that. There's something else going on besides Earth lights.
Yeah, and then like you see in the YouTube there from our website link. We've seen them different colors. The words have different colors. Another person suggested that perhaps it has something to do with sound wave frequencies. And sound actually, I guess, I don't know if they've proved it, but they've been studying, I guess, that sound waves emit color. And, of course, our ears only hear, certain waves, and our eyes can only see certain light waves. And so there must be a lot going on around us that we cannot detect with our senses. But they suggested that maybe even sound waves could have something to do with those levitating rocks.
That's a possibility. I mean, it's almost like the Earth is alive down there. I mean, it's literally got life, and it just does what it wants because it's in charge, literally.
Yeah, I have a black lab, and when I used to go out digging, he'd go with me, and he's like a little kid chasing an ice cream truck. You know how labs are.
Oh, yeah.
They got their tongue hanging out the whole time, and they're hopping all around.
Oh, yeah.
And he will follow me up the hill right now, but when he gets to a certain point, he stops. I cannot get him to go anywhere near the event site. He won't travel up there anymore.
Oh.
He'll go anywhere else on the property, but he won't go up to the top of the hill.
I see you guys looking at the map. You guys are straight down I-35 from my house. Yeah, look, now you're 945 miles away from me, Ken. That's what I'm looking at the map.
Hey, that's just.
That's all.
I was going to say, hey, in today's world, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's a nice 9-hour trip.
It's all interstate, all the way down until I get. Yeah, it's pretty much mostly interstate.
And I'd go further than that for barbecue. So.
Yeah. I absolutely. Hey, when like I said, I would recommend the fall or early spring. Okay, the summertime could be, like I said, we had a heat index of 105 and the humidity and everything. I mean, hey, that might be the time to go though. Okay, I mean, we did experience that one light in the woods, and I don't know. But like I said, I'm going back. I'm going to go back in the wintertime. I want to see what it looks like with the leaves off, because it's a pretty dense forest when you get into the bush out of those clearings.
And with the phenomena we've experienced, we've been trying to find a common denominator, and weather does not seem to offer that.
Oh.
It seems like we see these orbs in the we've seen them in the winter, in the early spring when it's colder, and now even in the heat and the humidity.
Hey, have you ever seen them when it's raining? Have you ever seen them when it's raining?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she answered a question that was just going through my head. I've
been online and I looked, and like I said, I'm still learning. I'm the new guy, but. You see where people say, oh, if you turn on a strobe light, or you flash this light, or you wear a red hat, hold a clothes hanger, and stand on one leg, you're going to be able to attract these orbs. And one thing I have found out is they do what they want. There's no off and on switch. You know what I'm saying? I can't go up there and turn on the orb switch and all the orbs show up. I don't have that kind of ability. They just show up when they want to, but right now we are seeing something almost every night. Some nights not. Last Monday we had a group down there, and right about midnight this big orange orb came up, and it had to have been bigger than a basketball. and it went right up over the trees, went back, and then went back again, and finished its path over the trees.
Hey,
But
Orville,
it came up from inside the trees up.
we have a question from George, and he wants to know, have you had any earthquakes around there in Mina?
No, we monitor that, and we check that a lot because, we were looking for earthquake lights.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, I spent most of my life working for FEMA. So anything, that's close to this type of related or that type of related, we've looked into everything we could find, and we still can't find that one common denominator that, explains it all.
And one other thing that we did, and it was in the evening, is Marilyn and Dick brought these large crystal bowls, and you hit them with this wooden dowel, and then you rub it on the outside, and it really produces a strange vibration, and you could hear that crystal all through the hillside in the woods, MJ, when she was doing it.
Did it create any type of was there any type of light created or anything pop up in the woods or the area with that sound?
No, we didn't get a response. But I tell you, I was thinking afterwards, I'd like to have done that right at the Crystal Pit.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh,
And we used a plumb bob and some very fine sand to check earth movement to see if there was any vibrations, and we didn't get any of significance. So I don't. And keep in mind, just because we didn't get a reaction, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't get a reaction. It just wasn't the right time.
Yep.
If Dick said, maybe static charges are being given off, well, that's got to build up to where, you have that static charge. You don't get lightning until you get a thunderstorm.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to have a source, and it's got to build up. So,
What I'm thinking too, I'm thinking of this aquifer below. I mean, I can just imagine if there are, there's crystal on top. I mean, how beautiful or how nice would that aquifer, that running river below look with crystal, formations and cutting it right down below all the sand and pit right there.
Well, if it's flowing through, if it's flowing through sandstone and limestone, it's creating a static charge.
Yep, it's got to be.
And that's what I'm trying to find out. Is it possible that static charge combined with piezo energy is able to produce some kind of plasma, energy plasma?
Or aka the earth light, yep. Mm-hmm. That could explain your Joplin spook lights, the Paulding light up by me,
the Marfa lights.
The Marfa lights, yep. I mean
and how far does this aquifer run, and where does it go?
Yeah.
Okay, I think George, up where he lives in Springfield, they call it the Devil's Hole, and they put dye down it, and it popped up down in Big Springs like 160 miles away.
Wow.
So you have a network of rivers and who knows what underneath that whole area. Caverns, underground caverns. I mean, I know there's a lot of caves down there.
Yeah, we haven't found any caves on the property at all yet. But you just don't know. I mean, you could be digging for crystals and move a rock, and there it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You have a cavern that's underground, and you don't necessarily have an entrance to it from where you are. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I just, like I said, I've just seen so much strange stuff that at first we get pretty excited. I mean, we're still excited, but we don't run like crazy for the camera anymore. We got our security camera set up, but we had to plug in hardwire, from the stage with the cameras pointing up at the event sign. We still get once or twice a week. We get some pretty bright lights up there, but the game cams, we have to keep going up every 2-3 days and put the batteries back in them. They should last 90 days easy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So what do you guys got going on? We're getting towards the end of the show. What do you guys got coming up in the future for your mind there? I mean, let our listeners know, and tell the listeners again the website for them to check everything out. I also posted it on our Facebook page, Inception Radio Network. Go on there, click on there. You can order tickets to go visit our friends, check out some very cool stuff. But go ahead, guys, and let our listeners know what you're up to and your website.
Well, thank you. Our website, boardcampcrystalmine.com. A lot of people wish they could come crystal digging, like that's what we used to do. But right now, I just want everyone to know that unfortunately, we've decided to close the mine for crystal digging until we can better understand this unknown phenomena, especially the levitating rocks and rocks that periodically just kind of come from nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like so strange. And obviously we cannot let the public wander around the property. So we did come up with the tours, the unexplained tours. And like I said, we'll share our story. I mean, we shared a lot of it on this program, but we'll share. We have a lot more to share. And when people come on the tours, we share our story. We allow them, we take them up to the event site and take a look, like I said, where the Oklahoma UFO paranormal team investigated at the end of July, and where Josh Gates filmed in May. And by the way, let me just say real quick again, that program will be on the Travel Channel. It's called Expedition Unknown Hunt for Extraterrestrials. You can Google that. And the Travel Channel has already released a couple little, I guess they call them trailers or sizzle reels, that you can watch. And we shared those on our Facebook page, Board Camp Crystal Mine Facebook page. But also just go to Joshua Gates when you can find him on Facebook. But we do appreciate everyone that comes out for the tours. If you need us to answer questions, give us a call. Our phone number and emails on the website there. Like we said, we're planning on opening an online store for people who cannot come to the area but might be interested in the crystals. And these got to be special crystals if the UFO visited, okay? I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Right.
If crystals are attracting UFOs, if that's a plausible theory, And,
well, Scotty might be coming there and get them. I can tell you that for the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm going to be looking for him for sure. But Josh's show is going to be airing. It's a 4-week special, 4 different shows beginning October 4th is our understanding, and it'll be the 4 Wednesdays in October. Expedition Unknown Hunt for Extraterrestrials, and Board Camp Crystal Mine will be featured on at least one of those episodes.
Okay.
And so we're obviously really excited about that, but we're going to be watching it just like every other viewer because they come and they film, but they're going to, edit and put it all together. And so we're going to be just as amazed to watch it ourselves as everybody else when it finally airs in October. So, check out our website. If you're in our area, get tickets to come to our tours. We do have a little crystal store open during the tours. That you can check out our crystals, and then, like I said, we're going to be opening our online store. And I just want to do a shout-out to, real quick, for the Oklahoma UFO Paranormal team, Marilyn and Dick, Bill and Julie May, and Helen and Ken. We just really appreciate you coming out. And you guys are awesome. I mean, you volunteered to do this. You get a call, someone's perplexed about something, an experience they had or something they saw, and people like you go out and investigate. It's just awesome. We're deeply appreciative of the service that you perform.
I think
Who are you going to call? You know, who are you going to call?
Who are you going to call? Yeah, there you
right.
Ken Storch.
But, you know, MUFON said, you know, you could be running a galactic gas station up here. And I said, well, that's no good because all of my customers are drive-offs. You know?
Yeah. They got to leave some sort of tip or pay in some kind of galactic golden coins. I don't know. That's great. Well, thanks.
We appreciate y'all having us on your radio show. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we'll hit. It's if Ken gets up there in the winter or something. There's always a chance to do a live show there too. So that's details we can work out. And when the time comes,
maybe we can work something out. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I can stay at the boards, and Ken can be in the field. So we've done it before, Ken. So
yep. We sure have. That would be fun, actually.
Oh yeah. So we'll plan on that in the future.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on tonight.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
I also put up their Facebook page in our IRN chat room, and I can throw that up on our Facebook page too, so you can like their page and check out that trailer. I'm definitely going to be watching October 4th, Ken.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just record the shows. I'd love
to see.
Yeah, very good. Oh, next week is Labor Day weekend. We are off. It is time to relax, sit back, and Ken has to watch his clientele anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I got to keep an eye on him. 3 days. That's going to be it's going to be interesting.
Going to be interesting. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Great guest tonight, Ken. Thanks for hooking us up with them, and very interesting. Check out their website again. It is. Let me get in there 1 second. It is. It's boardcampcrystalmine.com, and watch the videos, the YouTube videos of the colored orbs. These ain't no ghost orbs or flying bugs at night. These are some true colored type of lights being emitted here. So I can't explain myself, but it's amazing. That might be worth a 14-hour trip for me to drive down to. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, you know what? Make it a MJ. Make it a 3-day trip. Go down there and spend a day or an evening and check out the local area, the flavor.
Yeah.